The first time I thought about having Islam as a religion was at the age of 15. Reading a story in my high school religion book about a Swedish girl who converted, I thought, what would it be like if I became a Muslim? How would it change my life? This woman wore a headscarf and worked as a secretary. Because of my lack of knowledge about Islam, this shocked me a lot. How could she work with that thing on her head? Who would hire a woman like that? My conclusion was that I would never become a Muslim because it would attract attention and diminish my chances of getting my dream job. I think this thinking depended a lot on the way I was brought up. My parents are honest, hardworking people, but they don't see the need for religion. They see that the meaning of life is in life itself and that after that, when we all become dust, there is nothing more. However, I think my mother respected the traditions and morals of our Protestant church and sent me to the children's group at an early age. Later, when I was 14, I was asked if I would like to go to confirmation classes. I agreed. I thought I'd better do it. Who knows, maybe I'd change my mind later and regret not going and then I'd be out of the church. It was also fun to go to these classes. We painted, sang songs, did theater and went camping. There weren't many serious people among us. Most came just for tradition and to receive gifts, jewelry and money from relatives on the big day when the classes finally ended and there was a church ceremony. From that time on, I remember having strong doubts about Christianity. I read the Bible, but it didn't give me what I needed. I knew there was something I was looking for, but I didn't know what. I learned about astrology and tried meditation, but all this made me feel more confused. I started keeping a spiritual journal. It was a small book that I filled with different material, both religious and non-religious. I collected Bible verses, poems, Hindu chants, songs and anything that made sense to me. I started secondary school when I was 16. As I lived in a small suburb outside the city, I had to transfer to a school in the big city. I chose the one I thought had the highest status. I couldn't have imagined that there would be so many foreigners there. Immediately after starting, I felt that I wasn't happy. I wanted to change my major, so I transferred from media to languages and went to a new class where I didn't know anyone. The first people who spoke kindly to me and with whom I made friends were an African girl and an Iraqi girl wearing a scarf. It was so exotic for me. All my life I had been surrounded by people with the same background and now I was getting a taste of other cultures and lifestyles. I was so fascinated by the Iraqi girl that I started hanging out with her a lot and also became friends with her friends. I became famous as the Swedish girl who had no Swedish friends. It was more than a nice thing for me. I felt I needed to distance myself from the normal crowd. The Muslims at my school sometimes had active discussions about Islam that really impressed me. I thought, how can this religion be an active part of their lives? It's not like Christianity. It's alive, not dead. And it has an impact on everything in their lives. One day when I went with my father to a second-hand market, I was looking for some books and found an old translation of the Quran into Swedish. I decided to buy it for historical purposes and to gain a better understanding of my friend's religion. At that time I started adding Islamic items to my journal. I was writing the opening surah, Al-Fatiha, and its translation. I also memorized it. I had no reason to do it and was just interested in it. Before long, I was totally absorbed in the Quran. I felt as if I had found a real treasure. There was something that attracted me, something that wasn't logical, especially since the translation I had was written by an Orientalist and contained several serious flaws. The worst thing of all was that the author pointed out supposed flaws in the order in which the verses came. He said that it was obvious that some verses had to be swapped around. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, that I learned the truth by asking my friend. I went to my Iraqi friend and told her that I was interested in Islam. She was very shocked and felt that she had to sit down or she was going to faint. After the shock wore off, she decided to take me to an Islamic organization, and there I got some books, pamphlets and the phone number of another Swedish woman who had become a Muslim. I was afraid of what my family would say and, in fact, my mother felt insulted when I told her I wanted to become a Muslim. The whole family searched my room and threw out my Islamic books. They said that Islam was like a cult and that I had been brainwashed. But that didn't stop me. In July 2001, I openly declared my Shahada, testimony of faith. I had called the Swedish woman whose phone number I had, and she organized Islamic lessons at her house. I went to her house, which had a garden, and we prayed the Zuhr, evening, prayer there in the open air. For me it was a symbolic act, because in my society it's not appreciated to do acts of worship openly. I felt very free and didn't care what people thought. It was with a loud and proud voice that I said the words that have undoubtedly had the greatest impact on my entire life. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul Allah. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. No other phrase has influenced me like this one.